What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I think we've got video game topics all day long, including positive video game news. Can you believe it? I mean, take a minute to smash that like button for Positive Patty. Coming at you again, but not just yet. That'll be at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So, Mordhau, which is a universally enjoyed video game, which, we actually reviewed on exclusivelygames.com or the Exclusively Games YouTube, has come under a new narrative by Above Reproach video games journalists. And we're going to take a look at some of what they're saying about the game, and then we're going to hilariously expose their lies, as we often do. And hopefully you will like and share this video in defense of the small developer behind Mordhau, because they are currently getting dogpiled. Now, there are two articles that came out in the same day. Shocking, right? One by Milkshake supporter Luke Plunkett, and another by I don't know who, talking about Mordhau's chat and using all the normal buzzwords. Rampant bad behavior, we'll say, in chat are driving players away from Mordhau. Well, this is a headline. This is the story. We finally have evidence, everybody. We finally have evidence that gamer toxicity hurts sales. Let's take a look. So, on this article, PC Lamer, content warning, naughty words, references to bad language. So they literally put a trigger warning in front of an article, which you'll see we're reading on the beautiful archive.is. Nobody expected Mordhau to get this big, especially not the first-time developers who made it. What started as a janky fan project made for competitive chivalry medieval warfare community has become one of the best multiplayer hack and slashers on PC. It sold more than 1 million copies, but for some players, Mordhau's fun combat has been tainted by a toxicity problem that sees bad comments thrown around in both in-game chat and official forums, seemingly without repercussions. They are not punishing all the pearls. Ooh, people say bad things in a video game. Let me be very clear. A video game producer is under absolutely none, zero obligation to censor their chats. All right. Now, obviously, the straw man argument that these articles will build, and as well as you'll see your friend Skill Up, is that people have a problem with like filtering out obvious words, right? And I don't really see a huge pushback against that in like any game, but this is the straw man argument they're going to build. As an example, one of the forum's most popular threads, post titled UK, in which players share images of their character builds. The thread started in 2017 when Mordhau was in alpha and has attracted more than 2,600 comments. More than 2,600, sorry. One of the comments says, "Step up, my friends." Another says, "Listen here, bundle of sticks." When you're the one player questions the bad words in the thread title, another responds, "You gay." Okay, all right, so they're ringing the alarm bells. Obviously, what needs to happen is there needs to be like some words that are probably filtered out. Everyone's fine with that. If you want to say or do exactly whatever you want, then there are platforms to do that for the most part. But I think the overwhelming majority of the community is fine having warnings and restrictions around these type of words, but that's not enough. In other forums, a thread with that title may be deleted on site. But the Mordhau dev says they don't have a problem with it or its contents. It's one of our longest and oldest threads, as well as among the most active threads in our forum. Full of creative loadouts from our community, says Andrew Getch, speaking on behalf of the team. As for the title itself, we as a team don't find it offensive. Shocking! I thought offense was given. I thought everyone, was offended equally the same way. we find it even so less. We do understand, however, that some people may interpret it as bad, inappropriate, or taken out of context. It's clear the Mordhau developers are unprepared and unwilling to meet the problem straight on, and some players have had enough. Alongside the post described above, sit above those lamenting toxicity in the game. Chat today was an overflowing septic tank, and not one single person was kicked, says a post from the weekend. The same is true of the game's subreddit, where toxicity is common discussion topic, but there's such rampant bad words in the game that it's really making me not want to play it. Hey, here's the thing. I know this may shock some of you as consumers out there. Not you, my beautiful viewers, but this may shock some of you. You don't have to play it. There's nobody forcing you to play a game. In fact, you can go the AAA route and go into games like Hearthstone or anything, all these games that are just modern day, removing chat as an option. You can just send mindless emotes at people, and then you can wait for people to be offended about emotes, and you can ignore the fact that when you have 1 million players, you're going to have some bad apples. This is the problem. These alarmists are always treating the fact that, okay, there's a bad element, but again, it's an overwhelmingly tiny amount of the player base and an even smaller amount of the player base that's offended by it. When I see that kind of stuff in global chat, I mean, I roll my eyes, but, life goes on. It's just words. It's not like it's, a red hat or something like that. Another reason for the problem is that there's no direct way to directly report players in Mordhau. You'll have to take a screenshot, send to the devs on an official Discord, and hope for the best. You can vote to kick players during a match, but these votes often get lost in the heat of the battle. Community-run servers are, on the whole, friendlier places than the official servers and have some active mods that punish abusive players. Okay, so what you're saying is there's no reason for this article, because if you want to live in a safe environment, if you don't want to see any words that may offend you, there are places for you to play, as far as I know. Mordhau also suffers from a lack of moderators. Community manager Jack said, last weekend, the team was trying to improve our moderation, but we're a small team, and there's a lot of you. I do apologize on behalf of the team for some of these. People are spouting off some terrible things in game. All I can say is that at this point, we're working on improving the situation. On Mordhau player, more than one Mordhau player, again, 1 million people bought the game. We're going to look at one person with more than 110 hours under his belt. Got in touch with me last week to flag a user who was constantly posting bad comments in the game's forums. We white people just can't have anything to ourselves, can we? The user in question posted recently. Now we can't even play our game in peace without some like yourself screaming over the lack of diversity. Again, is this an okay comment to make? It's not for me to decide. Ultimately, I'm not offended by it. If you are offended by it, then I suggest you go back to solitaire, because the real world is not a safe space. You could just ignore it like most of us do, but that's not what video games journalists are paid to do. They go on. It's not just about a lack of resource. The developers are currently unwilling to take a hard stance against toxicity, so they're bullying them, essentially. In a recent update, they added the option to mute players by clicking on them in chat. But in an interview before the update, they told me they didn't want to add any sort of word filter, partly because people might claim we're censoring. Okay, that's reasonable. But then we go on. With plans for playable female characters and a choice of ethnicity on the horizon, you can only create white male characters at the moment. And there you have it. Now we know why they're upset. The Mordhau team seems to expect that too. They say that their current plan is to let players, quote, disable these options if they want and go back to the similar situation. Is same with chat filters. But here's the thing. The Mordhau team directly refutes this. We here at Trintiran, whatever. We're here at the company, our small indie team. We have a lot to learn when it comes to dealing with these things. However, we need to clarify. Someone posted in an article today. We do not, nor have we ever, had plans to toggle to hide other ethnicities or disable characters that aren't white in Mordhau. Any claims to the contrary are false. Well, interesting. Are you saying a games journalist is lying? Shocking. And then you see Kotaku clutching all their pearls. Now, just wait. I'm about to get to the best part. We can see an article that took about 30 seconds to write, and it's just based off the PC Gamer article saying, taking things to the next level. That player choice line is also used to explain why the game's chat filtering system is so rudimentary. If we take an official stance and we put official filter on the list of words and chats, people will first find a way around it. Duh, my nibba. And might catch innocent words. Or people might claim we're censoring. So we'd rather put the power in the player's hands. Wow. But of course, this journalist says that's some milquetoast baloney. Well, interesting that you would say that, because that's the reality. If you start banning a word, then people just change the word they're using. This has been happening probably since the beginning of time, but journalists, they either are too dumb to know this or they don't care. They want you to be playing a consistent game of whack-a-mole to remove any games that might offend them. Now, there's this big narrative that people are fleeing the game, right? Well, let's look at what Sophia Narwood said. By the way, here we have Skill Up. Is blocking the N-word in a video game chat censorship or moderation? This is a... See, I voted censorship just for funsies. But this is an argument that nobody's making. You're talking about 100 players worldwide that are that upset about it. And you know what? That's their right to not purchase the game. But the overwhelming majority of people are not making this argument. This is a straw man. This is not an argument that anyone in any real numbers is making, but that's not what games journalists are saying. You see Skill Up go on to say, I'm trying to see if the percentage of people that feel differently in some various subreddits are suggesting that developers taking any action against bad words is akin to censorship. I mean, it technically is censorship. I mean, my vote is by the definition of censorship. The question should be, are you okay with it? Because overwhelming majority of people will be fine with it, but that's not the narrative. But an actual games journalist, Sophia Narwitz, points out, we look at the title, Rampant Bad Words Are Driving Players Away from Mordhau. She points out, Mordhau's June drop in players 54% is on par with all their multiplayer games released within the same period. Yet countless websites are citing PC Gamer and stating that the player base is experiencing a, quote, massive drop due to toxicity, yet there's little evidence to support that claim. Shocking. And then we can look, okay, Mordhau, we can see the drop. But we can also see Mortal Kombat's drop from their peak. We can see Total War 3 Kingdoms drop from their peak. I mean, the lists go on and on and on. But that isn't what their narrative is. But fortunately, you, the viewer, is going to share this, support the developer, and honestly, obviously, filtering out certain words is fine. There's like that list of 10 or 15 words that you just filter. But let's not spend our lives trying to chase down different words that may or may not be offensive. That's how we ended up with the OK symbol emoji being banned. That's not a world that I want to support. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you again around 4 o'clock with another video game video, and we'll talk to you again real soon.